Okay, I'm back from a weekend away, so hey, just like had a good night's sleep, started working, got the camera turned on. Hello, everybody. It's a great pleasure to speak with you again and sort of like just interact and or not as the case may be. I'm making a video. Fuck it. All right. Uh, got a good night's sleep last night. Great. I just having a look at my comments section. And yes, I got the occasional individual telling me that I'm going to be tormented in hell, which is obviously the sort of thing that someone would say if they believe in a loving God. Great. And on the other side of things, I've got people commenting on my videos about the ideomotor effect, in which I will use the word science, because, the ideomotor effect is like 150, 160 years worth of history behind it. It's a scientifically accepted phenomena, and I've got a couple of people suggesting I'm as bad as a creationist because I use the word science when talking about the ideomotor effect, which is accepted by the scientific community as being the explanation for why the dowsing pendulum works and why the Ouija board works. I mean, it's the two extremes, and everyone has just got like too many sensitivities. Just like down with the sensitivities for a minute. Okay, lower the sensitivities, relax, remember to breathe. I mean, for crying out loud sake, this is like, yeah, people, right? Humans. I know everyone's got some kind of issues going on, but here on the internet, it's like face to face, kind of like boom, Here are the people, here are the issues. Yes, you just bam, it's absolutely insane. Anyway, I had a great weekend away. Went out to Devon, saw some great countryside, been walking across the moors, got some extra exercise, and I've really been rather enjoying my weekend away. Saw my uncle, saw his wife, saw their son, who is a very skilled violinist already at the age of 10. It's kind of like envy. It's absolutely amazing to see. So what I want to do is to do something, a little bit more informative. I know there's a very big sensitive time coming up. And this is a time, last year, I watched a pagan video about, this lady talking to pagans about Christmas and trying to help people to remain true to their traditions within New Age paganism, within an environment in which there's plastic Christmas trees and all the rest of that. And I thought to myself, and I'm thinking about this more because we're finally getting closer. There's about 40-something shopping days to Christmas, and I think during this one particular time, it's a time of like stress for people who are not accepting like the way the culture is, normal culture. And I think that there's lots of people in the world who've been absorbing a lot of New Age media, okay, occult media, pagan media, alternative religious media, and that's kind of like become an obsession within the mind of some people, which can be okay, but it can also be bad. It can be okay in a healing way, because if someone's dealing with one particular issue, they develop an obsession towards something else, maybe that can create a certain level of separation for them, okay, so they can feel a bit independent from something that's previously hurt them, so that can be a good thing. But sometimes it goes the other way, and it becomes more pathogenic, because it's like there's this growing demographic of people, possibly because like the internet is like a fantasy world, right? Just waiting to come into people's minds, okay? And people are living more with the internet, contemplating things that people say on the internet rather a lot, and they're finding it hard to constructively deal with, on an emotional level and an intellectual level, the dissonance, okay, the difference between what's happening in their own mental and emotional and spiritual worlds and what's happening in the outer world. This is when, like, the internet, or in some respects the internet, can stop being good. I mean, the way I like it is because there's so many different ideas out there, okay? And I have in the past fallen into the trap of, like, you know, focusing on one particular set of ideas that was out there and just watching those videos, and it drove me a bit bonkers, alright? But there's other stuff out there as well, okay? The culture is broader than what the pundits are selling. The culture is always broader than what the pundits are selling. So it's like the healing aspect of the feeling of separation from other cultures or other ideas or other religions or other spiritualities or other lack of spiritualities can, like, not work for some people, because it demonstrates and creates and encourages and breeds within the psychology of an individual a feeling of disquiet, okay, that the outer culture is not the same as the inner culture. This is not good, alright? And I know that video creators often simplify things. I try and simplify things as well, and that's both good and bad. But sometimes the simplification can get a bit too far. And yes, there are people of every other culture and every other religion and every other, all the rest of it, which does the same thing. But does that mean, is that a good justification for you to be as psychologically or emotionally or intellectually as wrong? Okay. Is that, you know, is that doable? Is that right? Is that, I mean, is there like a really, really good moral justification to be as bad? Okay, that's the way they did it. They built up a religion or a culture or a cult or whatever. Therefore, let's do the same thing. Let's do precisely the same thing. Okay, well, you may end up with your cult or your culture or your religion or your lack of religion, but what good would you have done? What progression of thinking would you have created? Okay? And there's the other thing going on of, I'm part of a movement, this whole identity thing, this whole identity and loyalty thing which I've spoken about before, okay? And people think, like, I'm part of this cult, I'm part of this group, I'm part of this religion, and I want this to spread, I want to defend it. Why? Because I'm better than the rest. No, you're not. Okay? An honest person may identify with, like, a cult or a culture or a religion or a lack of religion or a politics, okay? But an honest person would have to say to themselves, as a person, I am as bad as all the rest. But I don't want to be satisfied with that. I want to be unsatisfied with being like the rest. Now, when you, like, wear the different jewelry, or you wear the different clothes, or you use the different accents, or you read the different books, you might think that, yes, I am transforming myself into something which is beyond their cult. The whole them and us thing going on, okay? And you would be, but to what extent? In terms of jewelry, yes. In terms of fashion, yes. In terms of book titles, yes. In terms of your thinking and who you are in terms of values, no, not necessarily. And if you're going to grow, you need to be outside of that bubble. Society itself is very much a self-selecting medium. When I was out in Devon, I was talking to this guy. He said that, like, this part of Devon is known for being alternative. It's known for being very hippie. It's known for being this, that, and the other. But it's not really like that. And I said to him, well, hang on a second, people who are into that, they're going to go to the subcultural places, okay? They're going to wear the subcultural clothing. They're going to go to the subcultural places, the bars, the coffee shops, the bookshops, which has got all that stuff in it. And you're not going to meet them because you're not one of them. Okay, you're not part of that group. But it's all there. Okay? And they all think they're separated from you, and you will think you're separated from them. But in reality, both groups are going to be just as stupid and immature and pathetic as each other. Your difference would be in terms of accent, possibly economic status, but not necessarily. In terms of fashion, yes. In terms of the book titles you got on your shelves, maybe. But if you're satisfied in your fantasy bubble, created by the people around you, by the fashion you're wearing, by the book titles, by the class of people that you're with, how well are you going to grow? Okay? So when it comes to this whole Christmas thing, right? Because it's an interesting example. It's like a case in point. The mental world, brought about by the book titles, brought about by the fashion, brought about by all these little things, creates that illusion of dissonance. But there's no dissonance. There's no real conflict. It's to a certain extent illusionary, because this whole midwinter season in Britain, Australia, the USA is just a time. Alright, just a time when people do a little less work. They spend a bit more time with friends and family. Okay, the catering industry does a bit better, so people in the catering industry will probably be working harder for more pay because it's a holiday season, okay, but still working a bit harder. And things are different. So I want to encourage you to deal with the fact that the outer culture that you are a part of is different to the way in which you think it should be. And then I also want you to challenge where you come from in terms of your beliefs about the way it should be, alright? And to work out whether that is actually helping you to grow, transform, become more a part of society and your community, and to develop the right values. Because it might not be totally okay. Alright? You as an individual, with your views and your values and your ideas and your current state of growth, you think you're okay. Because we all do. But self-doubt, not self-belief, but self-doubt and self-criticism, not self-encouragement, can be the most important things that you can have to keep you sane enough, alright, to become more a part of the search for the truth. Like the word science itself is the search for the truth. Okay, that's what the word means. It's a noun that stands for methodologies, numerous different types of methodologies of investigating into nature in order to find out what is most likely to be true. It's a search for the truth. Okay? And you can't find the truth if you're in a bubble. I know everyone is to a certain extent within their own bubble, but you can't find the truth if you're in that bubble. You've got to think your way outside of it. Grow your way outside of it. Look at yourself from the outside. Alright, and have that element of self-doubt and self-criticism, so you don't carry on encouraging the fantasy world, okay, the internal spiritual world. You start encouraging yourself as wanting to move away from that and becoming more a part of, in a self-developmental way, the real world around you. And I know everyone's crazy, everyone's in a bubble, okay? But you can try. and you can try and become better than the others. Just give it a go. See how it goes. Okay? And enjoy the feeling of change. God bless you all, and or not, as the case may be, depending upon who you are, what your theological world is, and all the rest of that, and whether you actually give a flying fuck.